hello. hello. So, I am, welcome. Sorry, just had like a brain fart for a minute. So, welcome. Sorry, I'm just having like a brain fart, but I hope everybody's having a good Monday. It's weird because normally, when I'm doing these episodes, it's like later in the week. So I normally say, hope you guys had a great week. And I hope you guys had a great weekend. But I'm like, the week just started. But I can still say, hope you guys had a great weekend. I don't know where you are or where you're located, but it was nice where I'm located. It was like hot nice. It wasn't like relaxing, cool breeze type of vibe, at least for me, because I'm not a fan of the heat. I don't really like being hot all day if I can help it. Like if I'm like running around or doing something, then sure. But if I can help it, I would rather not be out there. But yeah, I hope you guys had sorry, my thing is being weird. Sorry, my thing's being weird. But I hope you guys had a good week. So welcome to another episode of Pure Sessions. I hope you guys are enjoying the episodes so far. I know it's weird because I'm normally doing them live, so where there's like an interaction and things like that. But I kind of like it this way, where I can kind of just say what I have to say and get to like nitty gritty versus just doing it the same way over and over again. Nothing wrong with that, but it is nice to switch it up just a little bit. So I am enjoying that. But yeah, whether you guys are on the go or listening to this or watching this live or on the audio version or later, after work or in the morning, I do appreciate you guys. I know I don't say it that much, but I do appreciate it. I've just kind of started doing this. I'm not like at that level yet. I'm striving to get there. You always strive to go higher, but I appreciate the ones who do listen and tune in and stream because I do see it. And I hope you guys as well are enjoying my new album that came out, what is it now, 2 months ago? This summer is really going by really fast. I don't even know what day it is. But I haven't put out anything just yet because a couple of months ago I felt like I was putting out too much back to back. And I kind of wasn't giving, the viewers, you guys, time to like enjoy one piece. It would be one project, another project, another project. Nothing wrong with that, but just, give it time to, mull over what just happened versus bring things out back to back. So I tried to do different genres, electronic, dance, trance, and then another type was chill hop vibe, jazzy type of thing. So it wasn't just like the same thing thrown back at you. So I hope you guys are enjoying that. And the two products I'm talking about is Experiencing Misinterpreters and A Time to Remember that came out last month. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying your day. It's like 6 something now. I'm loving that it gets dark now at 8:30. I'm waiting for the day for it to get dark at 9. I just love it when it's like that. You see the little fireflies and just the sunset goes down. It's just like a nice vibe. So I enjoyed that part. Summer, the heat, no, but that part. That's showing. That's not cute. That part, I do enjoy. So for this episode, this one's going to be not as long as my others. I know I always say that, and I kind of don't make that happen, but this one I promise won't be my normal 40, 50 minutes. This one will be a little bit shorter because I just wanted to come on real quick and just talk about new beginnings. But yes, also Pure Sessions is available every week. You can stream it, you can listen to it, you can watch it, but to only watch it live, you can only see it on Instagram and YouTube live. Everywhere else, like Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, YouTube, Pocket Tune, Beaker, wherever else you listen to your podcast, Google Podcasts, it's all just audio. But if you want to watch it virtual, because I do have some big surprises coming up in the next couple of weeks into August, so definitely you should want to tune into that, watching it versus listening to it, because I feel like it gets a little bit more personal when it's face to face versus just listening to it, on a daily. But this title is episode 46. I always have to look up at the title because I never remember what episode it is. Because since I'm not doing them live, I'm kind of doing 3, 4, or 5 at a time. So I'm just like, what episode is that? I will put the wrong episode in the title, then say the wrong episode in me speaking about it. So it's just weird. Don't mind me. But this one, and I've been pushing this episode out for a couple of weeks because I was doing other things that I felt, and talking about other things that I felt would be, felt right to discuss during the time. But this one is new beginnings. So with that being said, it can really be a plethora of things. New beginnings such as, starting a new job, going from one to another, staying in the job but moving up, having a promotion. That is a new beginning. I mean, you're still in the same company, but from being, say, like a regular sales manager to like a VP, or being like working in billing and then moving up to HR. I mean, it's still a new beginning, new chapter that you're starting with your life. Or it could be moving schools, or it can be starting college, starting high school. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but starting pre-K. I know for me, starting pre-K and kindergarten was a lot. I mean, that was a big deal with your lunchbox, and you were becoming like your own person. What else? Moving. That's another big thing. Moving from state to state, or town to town, or even moving from an apartment to a house. That's a big, huge new beginning, because it's not just you, in this apartment, in your own space and things like that. You're moving with somebody else, or B, with your family, or just for other reasons. So that's a new chapter as well too. What else is there? It's trying new things. You could have a 9-to-5 job working, I don't know, in retail or in marketing, and then you just feel like this calling to do, to focus on your passion, whether it be art, music, dance, and you just stop doing the 9-to-5 and focus on your passion. That's a whole new beginning. That's a whole new 360 of not doing something that has like a stagnant plan, that everything's already planned out for you. Like you do this, 9-to-5, wake up tomorrow, do the next day. Versus if you're on the creative side, like me and other artists out there, you're doing a craft when you feel the music flowing through you, or you're doing your craft when you have an idea and you want to write it down or play something. So it's kind of more flexible. It's not as like boom, 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 boom. It's more so just like, if I feel like doing this and this moves me, let me do that. Or I might do this a little bit here, a little bit there. Versus just, I know my schedule for the week, or I know my schedule for the month. I know from Monday to Friday, from 9 to 5, this is what I'm doing. And on the weekends, this is a little bit of time I have. But new beginnings can be a good thing, a healthy thing, I know, sometimes. And it also could be something that has to happen. You may not want to stay in the same spot. You may want to do something new. That's totally different than what you've been used to. And that's scary, trying something new, starting over. Even starting and ending relationships, new marriages, young marriages, divorces. Even though it's sad, that still is a beginning of something else that is going to happen after that happens. So, like I said, that title kind of doesn't just pinpoint one area. At least in my opinion, it kind of is, like I said, a plethora of different things. So whether you are ready to start the new beginning, or whether you're ready to just stay where you are and then push it to the back burner, that's okay. But at the same time, you have to wonder, when will it be your turn to do this and start over? When will it be your turn to say, hey, I have these ideas, I have these goals that I want to do, and it might be scary to do it, either alone, or B, because it's a big step in your life. And it may not fit in the plan you have right now, but in the long run, it will work out. Or C, you just want to change. And sometimes it takes doing a big step or a big leap to kind of put things into perspective, because you know that you can do this. Like sometimes talking yourself into something works, and sometimes talking yourself out of something also works. But if you have that community, family, friends, whatever it might be, God, the Bible, whatever it might be, it usually most times helps if you're not doing it alone. Sometimes you do things alone, but sometimes if it's like a big thing, it does help to have people around you. So new beginnings, the pros and cons of it are: pros, you're starting over. You are beginning a new chapter in your life, whatever it may be. You're growing, you're maturing, you're moving up, you're not just staying stagnant. And there's a bunch of other pros I can't think of right now, but there's a lot of different pros. Some of the cons, not really cons, a bad word, but some of the hiccups, I should say, is you're stepping out of your comfort zone, like I mentioned before, which nobody likes to do. You're doing something from the beginning, either A, all over again, or B, by yourself. That's also scary, because you kind of like establish this kingdom or castle, if you will, of things that you want, things that you don't want, and now that it's kind of like a whole 360, you have to do it again, so that can also be scary. Another hiccup could be that it may not work out. There's also that option too, not failing, but it just may not work out for you for the time. Some things are meant to happen. Some things are meant to happen later. Some things aren't meant to happen. Some things are meant to happen, but the outcome that we wanted, or the outcome that we thought in our head or planned it out would happen, doesn't happen. So that's also a big thing too. And that's why I feel like a lot of people, at least me, I know because I don't like failing. Not that I don't like change or want to do something different, but I'm always afraid of the flip side because I'm thinking always 10 steps ahead. That if I do these 4, 5, 6, 7 things and it doesn't work, then I wasted my time. Not wasted my time, but I put, all this energy and effort into it and then it didn't work out. That's like with anything, like with a relationship or a new job or moving or even cutting people off or keeping people just for the sake of keeping people. Sometimes we keep people just because, A, we don't want to be lonely, or B, we've established this friendship or this camaraderie, there we go, with the person, and it's just hard to just, cut the person off just at the knees because, you guys are butting heads. But sometimes it does take that push of that nagging voice in your head or that gut feeling in your stomach to say, hey, this may suck right now, but in the long end, you'll become a better person of it because you kind of cut the ties off of certain things. You left that job. You distanced yourself from that friend. You broke up with that person. You moved somewhere else, or you moved to another floor, or something like that. It could be the simplest thing of just moving from a level from like say the top floor to the bottom floor, the bottom floor to the lower floor. It could just be a sense of aura. And that's why I'm always mentioning it's always big to keep your aura and your mental health and your space clean and with good energy, because a lot of those things kind of eat at your soul, kind of like swarm you with unnecessary vibes, unnecessary energy. And if you can try to keep good vibes, keep good energy, keep good company if you can, then I feel like all the other stuff, all the other noise will kind of just fall by the wayside because you're, not focused, but you're like centered. You're centered in what's important. What you want, what you don't want, what you will tolerate, what you won't tolerate. And sometimes it takes time to do that. I know for me, growing up, being shy, being quiet, because I still am, being an introvert and all the other stuff, I would kind of just let things go by the wayside, meaning like not discuss it or not talk about it because I didn't want to hurt the person's feelings, or I didn't want to end up being, by myself, because it was better to I guess have that person around or in my space or in my aura versus just being alone. But at the end, it was really just, hurting me slowly, as I say. It wasn't really helping anything. I was just kind of just settling. That's the big thing. That's what I was doing. I was settling. I was a settling because it was just comfortable. It was just easier to just be like, all right, I know this person is X, Y, and Z, but it's better than not to have in my life at all, because you enjoy the company, you enjoy that person, because in the beginning there is something good about a person, whether they end up doing you wrong later, whether they end up doing you wrong the whole time, but in the beginning there was something that drew you to that person or that job or that house or that whatever you want to call it. So there is good in every situation, but sometimes situations may get to a point where you need to not be there and focus on yourself. And I mentioned that, I think, it was the last episode, maybe 2 episodes ago, that it's okay to, separate yourself from situations that don't require your attention, if that makes sense. Like it may be, maybe weird to kind of be like the person to say, hey, I don't need you right now. Or maybe weird to be like, hey, I'll get at you later. And it later turns into 1 or 2 weeks. Or it could be you just go ghost. And not to be mean or rude about it, but just sometimes you just need to, focus on yourself, focus on getting your mental space back, your mental health back, your auras, your chakras aligned, and things like that. Because, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Because when you're so busy giving all your energy, giving all your time, giving all your whatever you want to call it, whatever word you want to use, to a person or a thing or situation, it's only draining you. The other person's fine. The other situation that's happening is not moving because they know, or it knows that, you'll always be there to pick up the slack, because you're not going anywhere, and you've proven to the person or whatever it is that that they know they do X, Y, and Z. You'll still be there to pick up the pieces. You'll complain and bark about it, but yet you're not moving because you're just comfortable. And it's easier to be comfortable than starting over, or it's easier to deal with a situation versus just being like, hey, let me just walk away and focus on myself, because at least if you're like me, I'm one of those people like, oh, I don't want to offend anybody, I don't want to hurt their feelings, because I don't like confrontations at all. I don't like arguments or arguing if I can help it at all. But sometimes it does take that nudge, or takes that, bite back, if you will, to kind of voice how you feel and kind of set the foundation of what you will allow, what you won't allow. And that's why I mentioned, or I had an episode with boundaries. It's not just with friends and family, it's with everything. Everything has to have a boundary, not like every little thing, but things that require your energy, your time, and your space. You have to require a boundary, because people will just jump over the boundary, jump over the line, kind of just be like, oh yeah, you have a boundary, but whatever. But unless you set that in stone and kind of be like, this is it, this is not a negotiation thing, this is just what it is, you always will be suffering, because they know that they can kind of like tiptoe on the boundary, they can tiptoe on the line, versus you saying, this is what I won't tolerate, and if you do X, Y, and Z, you gotta go. That's what you have to do. Not to be like rude or mean, but it's just like there's no sense in certain situations, not all, but in certain situations, that there's no sense to just keep going back and forth and pulling and giving the energy and pulling back and forth on something that doesn't require, or basically something that isn't that serious. You know what I mean? Like, there are situations that require back and forth, or things that take time. But if it's just small things, if it's just petty things, if it's just like friends or new relationships or whatever, not that you just cut people off, but it's just that you have to decide, you the person have to decide, is it worth me doing all this? Is it worth me giving all this? Is it worth me, whatever the case may be, versus, well, if I only give a little bit and then focus on myself, then maybe they'll be able to figure out the situation themselves. Because sometimes people will just get to the point where they don't want to, not think, but they'll know, like I said earlier, they'll know that you'll pick up the other 60% of the situation, because you just can't leave things alone. But if you just give them a little bit and let them figure it out, then you'll see, is it worth me doing all this every single time, versus, well, hey, I'll give you my 2 cents, my opinion, and then that's it. I wash my hands, that's it. Because if you just keep feeding and giving, and it's not reciprocated, after a while, it just gets to the point where, or you have to get to the point where you're just like, what am I doing? And that's why I titled this episode New Beginnings, and it kind of is an umbrella for everything. It's not just one thing. Like I said, it could be from moving to a state, or starting school, or starting a relationship, or ending a relationship, or starting a new job, or quitting a job, or changing careers, or what is it, just doing a complete life-changing thing, or a different lifestyle. Even it can get to the, not small, but it can even get to the point of working out or changing your diet. Like, you can eat meat and all this other stuff, and then you can one day want to change your lifestyle to live healthier, or just your views change and become a vegetarian or a vegan, which I believe are 2 different things. Don't quote me on that, but I believe they are 2 different things. That's another life. That's a new beginning as well too. Becoming from eating meat and the eggs and the dairy, I don't really know all the protocols, but to not being a vegan, being a vegetarian. There's all these different things. Or even, I don't want to say, it's not really a new beginning, but it's like a lifestyle change from switching religions as well too. That's a huge thing too. Some people take it lightly, but that is a huge thing too. So there's new beginnings kind of fall into line with a lot of different things, but it's up to the person, up to you to say, hey, I want to do this to better myself and to better the people around me, and to make that change or spark that fire under you or other people, that they're doing this, that you're showing them that you can do this. And yes, it is hard, and yes, it does take time, and yes, the outcome may not be what I want, but at the end of the day, I'm being a better person. I'm becoming a better person. I'm growing. I'm not just staying where, I feel like I'm not moving, because nobody wants to just be, unless you do, but I don't think, excuse me, that's rude. Nobody really wants to just be in the same place year after year, day after day, week after week. After a while, you want to be like, okay, I can do this, and I did this, and I put this work in, and let me go to the next level, and I did this, and I did that, and then did this and did that, and let me go to the next level. It's just like playing a video game. You don't want to stay at level 1 or the beginner level. You want to move up to level 20, level 40, level 50, and then 100, and then, be in the tournaments or things like that. You want to move up. It's just like school. You move up from grade to grade to grade to grade. You don't want to just stay in one grade, or you don't want to just be at one level, unless you're okay with that. But 9 times out of 10, we want to be better than we were the day before. We want to move further along than we were today. Like you want to just keep moving and moving and moving to, not that you're just like, okay, I'm done, but just to the point where you feel like you've given 100% or even 150. Because sometimes if we're giving our all, giving our all, we still want more. But how we go about it really determines the outcome. Like if we're just going to do like a little bit here, a little bit there, then okay, we're good. But if we're working and we're grinding and we're hustling and we're going to, like if you're an artist or creative content creator or whatever you want to call it, if you're going, the pandemic wasn't here obviously, but if you're going to like events and giving out your card and performing and going to open mic nights and watching tutorials and watching podcasts or watching videos or just networking, then you're moving and grooving, you're hustling. And yes, it takes time. Obviously, yes, it will be some nays and closed doors, but eventually, if you put the work in and if your passion shows and if your time shows, you may not be like all up there, but you will get there eventually. You have to think like that, not to be conceited or anything, but you have to think big. You've heard that saying before. You have to think big. So if you're thinking that, hey, 2-3 years from now, I want to be performing, say like at Coachella, or if you don't want to dream that big, say I want to be performing at Madison Square Garden. That's a huge arena. So you got to think like that. How will you get there? What will you do to get to that point versus just watching other celebrities, watching other artists be there, but you could be up there too. Or even if you wanted to, because I know growing up and I thought I was going to be an actress, I'm painfully shy, but when I thought I was going to be an actress or a singer, I'm like, I would love to go to the BET Awards. I've always wanted to go to the BET Awards, not just sitting in the audience, but like actually winning something. And then you have to say, okay, well, what do I need to do to get there, to get to the BET Awards, or if you want to win an Oscar or a Grammy, or I think there's another one, but I can't remember. Another award, I just can't remember it right now. I think it's a Tony. What will you do to get to that point where people are looking for you, people are clapping for you, people wanting to see you perform, people wanting to reach out to you to work with projects, people wanting you to do this sponsorship or this ad or this commercial or whatever you call it, or work with this vendor, or even on your show, you have a podcast or a blog or whatever you want to call it, and they want you to promote their product and they'll pay you like $800, something like that. Like, what will you do to get there? Do you want to just be here, working here, because people locally know you, like, oh yeah, etc., or do you want to get to the point where you're going to those type of venues, you're going to those after parties, you're going to those lounges, you're networking with the big people, you're working with the big people, you're traveling, things like that. I feel like if you want to be, like, say, known in Paris or known in London, what will you do to get to that level? Because everybody wants to get further along, but like what will you do, or what will it take for you to get there? And I know for me, with the music and even the podcast, it is kind of a struggle, because you just want to get to like that level where people know you, and as soon as you come on, you got 1,000 viewers or 100,000 viewers or whatever you call it. People just know about you, but like it takes work, and networking really is what it is. Networking and really who you know. It's just like getting a job. It used to be before your experience in school, but now it's mostly just who you know, and if you have like an MBA, which I've noticed going on job, filling out job applications and having interviews, a lot of them ask, a lot of them require, do you have an MBA? And it could be like in anything. But I'm like, what happens to the point where you just need the experience? You just need the bachelor's. Now it's an MBA and a PhD. It just keeps going. So you have to get to the point where you're okay with working to get to your goal, to be as successful as you want to be, or will you just work to the point where you're like, okay, this is a little bit better than where I was before, but I'm okay with it. Like, it depends on where you want to be in life, if that makes sense. Like, do you want to be, like I said, rocking out and selling out concert tickets at Madison Square Garden and Coachella, or do you want to just be at local events? Nothing wrong with that, but what's the next step? And if that is the step, then that's cool. But like, if you want to keep moving, what will your new beginning require you to do to start over, or to rearrange or adjust to get to that level, to get to that point? Because we want to keep moving, right? We want to keep growing as well. So what will we do to get there? That's just my opinion. I feel like for me, with music and the podcast and DJing and being an author is just, it requires work. It requires time, you know, it requires patience. I wish things happened overnight, like with anything. I wish I could lose 10 pounds, or I wish like these pimples would go away, or, you know, I wish this gap in my teeth wasn't as wide as it used to be, you know, I wish I didn't have like a big forehead. There's always something that we wish that we didn't have, or we could adjust, or we could alter, or, you know, we could fix, or whatever the case may be. But it's like, what are you willing to do about it? Are you willing to work out, say 2 or 3 times a week, and change your diet? You know, are you willing to use a different facial product to get that results that you want? Are you willing to get that job, work for that job that you want? Like, what are you willing to do to get to the level of, okay, when I look at myself in the mirror, or when I see my work, I'm satisfied with it, not this could be better. And again, we should always strive to be better, but it really boils down to what you're willing to do to get to that level of, okay, I feel like I gave my 150%. I feel like I'm okay with this. Now, let me focus on the next thing that can add to this thing. It's all about adding. It's all about building. It's like Jenga. It's all about adding and building. But instead of taking the pieces to come down, to just fall down, you just keep building it up and building it up and building it up. You want to be, at least for how I look at it, you want to be the best version of yourself. And is your version just okay? Is your version just mediocre? Is your version just Is your version just amazing? Is your version just, I keep working, you don't see results? That's okay. Things take time. Or is your version, I'm going to keep working till the next person doesn't have to work, or then my next generation doesn't have to work, or the next successor doesn't have to work? Like, where are you wanting to leave your mark? And I've used that word before, your legacy, your mark, your brand, or whatever you want to call it. What do you want your legacy to be? And that's a lot. It's a loaded question, I know, but what do you want your legacy to be? Where do you want to be in 4, 5, 6, 7 years? Yeah, is that right? I was like, wait, they go backwards. Where do you see yourself then? Where do you see, if you have kids, if you want kids, where do you want your kids to be? Do you want them working and striving and struggling, or do you want them to be wanting for nothing? Do you want to just be here, or do you want to be known all over the place, even internationally? You want to be, like I said before, at Madison Square Garden, Coachella, Brazil, you know, anywhere. You want to just keep moving and grooving, or you want to just be like, okay, I'm good with this right now, I'm fine. Like, are you one of those looking on the inside or outside looking in type of people? You know what I mean? And I feel like I'll leave you with this. New beginnings are scary. New beginnings do take time. But I feel like I said earlier, if you're the best version of yourself at the end of the day, that's all that matters. If you gave 150% at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And if it may not be what you wanted to, the conclusion or your end of the story for that day may not be what you want, but the next day, there's the next day, you can keep moving. There's the next day, you can keep working at it. Just keep working at it to the point where you feel like, okay, this is the best version of myself. Now let me move on to the next thing. Because if you want to be better, if you want to leave a legacy, if you want to be great, you have to work for it. You have to just, I know it sounds crazy, but not to work to forever, but it's the grind. It's the hustle. It's the energy, it's the time and the patience and the effort that we put into it with anything. It doesn't just be artists, but just with anything you do. Effort, time, energy, persistence, consistency is what it takes. So what are you willing to do to be the next big thing? You know what I mean? But yeah, so hopefully I didn't rant too much. I haven't done these one-on-ones, which is me, in a while, but I hope you guys kind of, you know, not like I'm yelling or bashing anybody, but I just wanted to come on here real quick and just kind of give my 2 cents on new beginnings and working and setting the goals and striving to be the best you can be, and to keep moving, and what your legacy will be, because we all want to leave a mark, but what is it? What are we willing to do to get there, you know? You want to be great, you want to be amazing, to have that self-confidence. When you walk in the room, just heads turn. But what are we willing to do to get there? What are we willing to do to have our brand out there, or our content out there, or our music out there? What are you willing to do to be the best version that you can be? You know? But yeah, guys, like I said, I made it early this time, but that's about it, guys. So I appreciate you guys who rock out with me for Pure Sessions. But yeah, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, of course, Snapchat, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple, all over the place. Hellon and Pure. But yeah, guys, that's about it. Hope you guys have a great week. I know it's still Monday, but do something today that you didn't do the day before, and have a good week. Boy.